Everybody, we're live.
Now more Skip happens. Please return Bubbles, your flight attendant, to her fully upright and locked position. Oh, wait a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat and buckle up. Seat backs and tray tables in their full upright position. It's another episode of Skip Happens.
Your weekly view from 30,000 feet. From the first music lesson to the first paid gig to signing the deal, it's the journey that is the life of an artist. Now, here's your captain and co-captain, a.k.a. your hosts, Skip Clark and Deb Lamphere.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Skip Happens. Skip Clark, your host, my good friend Deb Lamphere. She's back. She's not watching football tonight, not like the previous episode we had. But I don't blame you. Did you just... We're going to get to our guests in just a quick second, but we had the Bills and the Jets last night.
I was a little disappointed last night, let me tell you.
All right. Now, Drew Baldridge is here with us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I said, what is up, man? That game holy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to bring my mic down here just a little bit. You cut out, but things are going good. On our end, Drew Baldridge is with us. Drew, you may know the name. He's been doing country music for quite a while, and living in Nashville and playing the hits. And he's kind of doing it independent style now.
Yeah,
cool.
We're excited to hear your story.
Wow, it's I've been in Nashville for 12 years now. I moved here right out of high school, pretty much, and I've had record deals, have lost record deals, have had booking deals, lost booking deals. And I think in the last year and a half, social media and people have been finding our songs, and it's just kind of changed my life. And we're now put a song out to radio, and we have our own label and our own staff, and we're just really making a real swing at this by ourselves. And it's been quite the ride, Skip.
I see you're already off and running. Like you say, it's quite the ride. And is it like starting over again, though? Do you have to start over from like bare bones and then build yourself back up?
Well, ish a little bit. I've been very lucky. I've toured everywhere in the country. I've done many radio stations. So, it's not like I have to go out and meet almost radio again. There's just a few people that I haven't met, you being one of them. So I'm glad we're on this podcast doing this. But I've been very lucky. I've known a lot of people. And so now it's, calling the people that I know and people just being like, hey, man, you deserve this shot. You haven't had a single at radio in 4 years. We're going to play this song. We're going to, tell our listeners about it. And, the song has been crazy recepted, yes, is the correct word. And, I've had over 100 million streams on this song, and I wrote it for my wife. And so it just comes from such a real spot. And I haven't had a song that I've sent to radio that's just so real to me, something that I believe in so much and the message that I believe in so much. And so it's really exciting to be back in the hunt, I guess is the way to say it, feel back in the game a little bit, but also be back in the game with a song that I 100% fully believe in, which hasn't been the case in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. It's called She's Somebody's Daughter. And it's pretty cool. And I love your marketing for the song. I love this because if I'll reach over, you sent a lot of us radio programmers a frame, and I have 3 daughters, which will go into this frame, and it says She's Somebody's Daughter. So that's pretty cool, dude.
Well, I was trying to think of something that mean a lot, and really, the song obviously has so much weight and so much meaning to it, which excites me because I don't feel like there's songs on radio like this right now. A lot of songs, there's a couple like Next Thing You Know by Jordan Davis, but
sure,
out there that means something to somebody. And so I wanted to send you guys something that could be a lasting memory for you and your daughters. I know you have 3 daughters. And so I wanted to send you something special like that.
Yeah, and I can't thank you enough for that. But you're right. You brought up a good point. You got Jordan Davis with Next Thing You Know. This is a song very similar to that. Similar, but unique in its own way. The way I look at it, Next Thing You Know, put Jordan Davis over the top. That song really made him a superstar. And I believe that this song, She's Somebody's Daughter, because of the way it's written, the way that it sounds, it's a little bit different than anything and everything we hear on country radio. I think it has the potential to do that for you, to get you right back out there again.
Well, I appreciate that, Skip. And, I think what's the coolest thing is I did, over COVID, I did this tour where I went around the country and played in people's backyards because there was no way to play music. And I was tired of just sitting at home. So I went out and I played over 300 people's yards all across the country. And it's been really crazy. And then I started back up touring again in June, like normal, like fairs, festivals. And I went out on the stage for my first festival show this year. And we sang She's Somebody's Daughter. And everybody was screaming it back, thousands of people. And I remember looking back at my band. I'm like, we've never had this. We've never had a song that's related this much to people where they're singing it back even before it's been on radio. And so that was the night I decided, you know what? Screw every major label in Nashville. Pretty much. I'm gonna do this myself. I'm gonna hire my own team, and that's what exactly we did. We went out and hired our own radio staff, and now we're sitting 30 stations around the country are playing this song, you being one of them, which I'm very, very thankful for. And we're going to see that grow every week, hopefully. And hopefully, I tell my team every day of like, hey, you're not just getting this song played on the radio. For me, we could change the course of country music and how it's being shared to radio in the future. Or more artists will be doing this. And who knows, if that's the case, if that happens.
Go ahead, Deb.
So you actually have double duty going because not only are you promoting your own music, you've started a whole new business.
Yeah.
So you are CEO, president, mailman, whatever it needs to be when you're running your own business. And yes, you're bringing on a team, but you have to find the right people and you have to manage those people and trust those people. And so you've got a lot of plate spinning there.
Like you said, your own mailman. I mailed out 200 of those picture frames, all handwritten to PD in America and every MD almost in America. And that took me days. And even to mail them out took me days. I'm the sole guy, I
know. It gives you a whole new respect for all the different levels going on building.
It makes you appreciate every job. And not only that, but I'm also a new dad and I have an 8-month-old. And so trying to balance time between my career and this label and also making sure I'm present in my son's life, which is hard when you're out on the road and you're, my wife is just nothing but a blessing to allow me to do this career. And she's just sacrificing so much to make this possible for us.
Now, your son he's Lyric, right? Is that the name?
Yeah,
now, how did you come up with that? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I was just talking to some artist friends and we were talking about baby names and one of them just said it out loud of like, man, Lyric's pretty cool. And I just always kept that in the back of my head. And so when we started talking about baby names, I brought up Lyric and we were like, oh man, I don't know. Are people going to not like that? And I was like, well, I don't really care. I love it, and I think, I told my wife, I was like, what's the middle name we could use for a family name, let's talk about some family names. So she said, well, my dad's middle name is Lee. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. So his name is Lyrically, which is pretty awesome. Lyrically Baldridge. Yeah.
I like that. I like it.
Wow. I know. So he's how old now? 8 months? 9?
He's on the 19th. He'll be 9 months. I can't believe I'm almost going to have a year-old, y'all, which is crazy.
I know. Is he walking?
So he is standing up. He has his own little cart that he just wheels around and pretty much walks all over the house. But he's not walking 100% by himself, but he walks like with his hands on and walk up and down them, Yeah.
Kind of go around the table, like if you have a coffee table.
Big thing that he's doing now that we have a lot of fun with in the last 2 days, he started clapping. So it's like everything that he does, he's like, yay! So that's a lot of
Well, he's got the beat down.
Yeah, maybe he'll be a drummer. Who knows?
Yeah, he could be. And speaking of that, one of your songs that I really enjoyed playing, and I still do, I use it, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I use it as a fill song a lot when we need to time out an hour on the radio station, Dance With You.
Yeah.
And it's just you and the smooth moves in the video, if I remember correctly, and you had a woman playing the drums, correct?
I did. My very first single to country radio, and that song is so much fun. We still play it live, and it's full energy. It has horns in it, gets you dancing up, get you out your seat. And that's the music that I love, like that big band kind of sound. And so you know, when we were coming out to radio, that was kind of the first one out there to show all different sides of music that we can create. And that's still a staple in the live show for sure. And, you know, we do dance moves, you know, we sidestep almost like the grapevine, you know, we groove.
Oh, I like that.
Yes, we've all done.
A little entertainment in there. Yeah.
I love it. So I just had a brain fart, but all right. So where are you? I'm sorry. It seems like when I talk, it cuts you out. Now, if I stop talking, you talk, I can hear you. Now I can't hear you.
That's volume.
You can't hear me. I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Lyric got his hand on the computer.
Yeah. So there's a little settings thing on the bottom of your screen. Oh, you can't hear me either. Oh.
No.
Log out and come back in again.
Log out and come back in again. Can you do that? I don't know. We have Shelly who is watching this. Maybe she can do a quick little text, and maybe Shelly who is watching this, so she can do a quick little text and just tell them to log out and come back in again. So Shelly, if you could do that, but we're talking with Drew Baldridge tonight.
Okay.
And well, we were. No, see, this is like new sign language. Can't hear, can't.
Let's see if he can see this. Let me see. Can I get that in there?
Oh, there he goes. All right. So Shelly texted him. So it's so exciting to talk to Drew because we talk about an independent artist, but he is an independent artist, and that's what he chooses to do. And let's see if we can get him back up here in just a second. I see he's coming back in. He's not with the major labels. He does his own thing. And as you mentioned, Devin, a point well taken that he's running his own business. Everything.
There's a lot there when you start your own business.
You know that.
For sure.
That's exactly what you do. And I do it on a much smaller scale, but
small or big, there's still a lot of details that you have to pay attention to.
Let me just see if he's
you got me?
Hey, there you are. Now you're over there, but that's all right.
I'm here to hear you. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It was definitely on your end. I'm not sure what the deal was, but I don't know.
You want to switch them around?
I don't know. Everybody's going to watch this live now. This is the movement of the screen because all we do is we can just see. We're not seeing everything on Drew. So hold on.
This is why we call it Skip Happens because.
Yep. Bye, Deb. All right.
Moving it around. Okay, just me now.
Now it's all Drew. There I am. And now we bring Deb back and 3, 2, 1, and poof. There she is.
See, like magic.
Love it.
There you go.
He's much better on the big screen anyway. So.
Yeah, they don't want to see my ugly face.
No, they don't want to see me either. I need to get my hair done.
It's funny. We're just talking about Lyric growing up and everything. And then before we went out with the cameras and the lights and we started talking to Drew, I said, Drew, if I were to close my eyes and just have a conversation with you, I'd swear I was talking to Luke Bryan.
Yeah, I get it all of the time. And, speaking of Lyric and what you were talking about, just, him growing up in life. And I think one of the coolest things is we got to do Lyric's gender reveal from the Grand Ole Opry stage, which was pretty neat. And then the first one ever, which was pretty cool. And then we actually got to play the Opry 2 months after he was born, and he got to be backstage with us. And I was just, thinking about, man, how cool is it that my son gets to grow up backstage at Grand Ole Opry.
Oh my gosh.
Play. And so that's a really cool moment as a dad, as being like, man, I can't wait till he gets old enough to understand, like, oh man, my dad tonight and I'm back here, I get to be a part of it. And so that's pretty special.
It's very special. And to get him on the bus with you. And when he gets, when he starts realizing that I'm going with Dad to do his show, that's going to be a moment. That very first time that he does that, it's going to be a moment.
Yeah. And I think obviously right now we're still in a tour van, just being honest, and hopefully, this song works its way up the chart and we can get into a van. And that's why I'm working so hard right now, is that one day my wife and my baby boy, and hopefully, we'll have some more kids and they can come out and watch Dad, and it's not be in a van. We can do it as a family in a bus, and that's kind of our goal. And we hope this is kind of a family song, so hopefully this family song makes it happen for us.
Well, you talk about family songs. I mean, you take like a Walker Hayes who brings his 12 kids with him at every show. I don't know if it's 12, but there's at least maybe six.
There's a good, yeah, I think there's 6 of them there.
And they all get their bunk. So when you
Mhm.
said as
Yeah.
the kids grow up and they'll be going out on tour with me, yeah. So I think that's kind of cool.
That's definitely, he's a great person and a great dad. And, he has great stories of having 7, I think it was 7 kids. And then, nothing ever happened and he had to work really, really hard and it all just took off for him. So now he gets to take his family everywhere. And I mean, that's just the dream as an artist, is that you want to be able to bring your family along one day. And, that's us hoping that, like I said, that this song makes it, liable that we can do that.
Mm-hmm. I think the song is definitely going to do that for you. I've already said that, but I cannot say that enough. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and where are you from? And I know you believe in faith. I think you just did something on Fox,
Yeah.
talking about a certain situation. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I grew up in a little town in southern Illinois, just north of Kentucky, called Patoka, Illinois. It's a town about 550 people. So I graduated high school with 22 kids before moving to Nashville, and really, really small town. A lot of small towns up there, and upper New York, upstate. A lot of small towns, very similar to that. Grew up on a farm. My grandpa farmed, and so we had 100 and some head of cattle, and we farmed corn and beans, and that was my summers, just working out on the farm with my grandpa, my brother, and my cousins. And at 19, I moved to Nashville here, and they all thought I was crazy. They were like, my grandpa would call and he's like, so let me get this straight. You're just down there writing freaking songs. And I said, yeah, just write a song. He said, well, we could really use you back here on the farm plowing or disking or picking up hay. And I said, I know, but I promise you, like, this is the dream. And, and that turned into years later where they were calling, my brother would be calling, hey, I got a song idea. Maybe you could put this in a song. So it definitely, it was cool to watch the transition of that from, them thinking I'm crazy to really supporting what I was doing. And, faith has been a big part of my life. And I grew up singing in church, was honestly, where I got to sing in front of people. And we were a small church of like 40 people, and almost so small you didn't even need a microphone. You just sing real loud, with a piano in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that's where I learned to love music and start my faith. And I'm a very open Christian. I even put out some songs. I put out "It Is Well with My Soul" and a lot of songs that I've written lately. I have a song called "Big Prayers" that just this in the past year. And, this is a song that really meant a lot to me. One of my old drummer's wife got diagnosed with cancer, and I was in a writing room and I was on Facebook, and their daughter wrote, hey, my mom just beat cancer, but we're going back in. We're going to do more scans to make sure that all the cancer's gone completely. We need big prayers. And I was just tearing up. I wrote down the word big prayers, and, it got me thinking there's only a couple times in life that we need some big prayers, and so we wrote this song, and it meant so much to so many people out there. I got hit up by a family, the Fowlers. A guy sent me a message and he said, hey, this song is my life. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, the whole first verse of the song talks about a family that can't have kids. And the second verse talks about a family that has cancer, and big prayers let them overcome all that. And he said, my wife got told that she'd never have kids. And we tried, and we now have a 13 and 15-year-old. And he said, here I am, I'm 35 years old. And he said, I got diagnosed with brain cancer. And I just got news that, they did a surgery, and if it's all clear, I'm going to be on the all good. And so I remember just crying, and I shared that story with my fans of just like, hey, check this out. Let's pray for this guy. And a foundation called Take the Trip Foundation sent me a message and said, hey, we take families like this on trips. Do you think you'd be interested in hopping on a call with us to arrange a trip for this family? And I hopped on a call, and man, we got to take the Fowlers to Miami and surprise their whole family and their kids, and put them together with the Marlins, took them deep sea fishing, and it was free for them. And they got to enjoy, if that was their dad's last trip, they got to enjoy it together. And it was just really, really special. It's Take the Trip Foundation. It's ran by the Carrolls. And I just really think you guys out there should look it up, donate to it. It's really, really special what they're doing. And I was glad I got to be a small part, just connect them together. But that's what I believe music's supposed to be about, is hitting people in the heart and telling real stories. And that's why I love country music. And
I was going to say That's what you're about, and that's country music. That
Yeah.
you said it, you hit it right on the head. That's what it's about. We're the
Yeah.
real people.
And I remember when I was 16 or 17 years old writing songs in my bedroom and just thinking like, God, just use me in a way that's up to your will, and let me make songs that people need in their life. Let me make songs that people can put to their memories and insert in whatever moment that they need. And that's what's really been special. Songs like Big Prayers, songs like She's Somebody's Daughter. We have another song called Can She Have This Dance that I wrote for my mama that we could dance to at my wedding. And it's been all over, been tagged in videos of mother and son dances, and mom sending me, hey, I'll never get this dance with my son because he passed away in a car wreck. And I listened to your song to cope with that. And that's like, I believe that God put a song in my heart for a reason. And if it's to be number one on the chart, that's great. And if it's not, and I just reach people in my own little way, that's great too. That's what I'm.
It's big.
That's what it's all about, really, at the end of the day. So you're touching people's hearts.
Wow.
Oh, thanks, Deb. And I tell everybody, I'm like, man, if I wasn't doing this right now, I'd probably still be, living in Patoka and bar on the back porch singing for the frogs and the crickets,
Well, it's funny that you say that, because one of the questions that I ask our guests a lot is, if you weren't doing music, what do you think you'd be doing?
Yeah, well, for sure, I'd probably be, back on the farm helping my brother. My brother has some real estate stuff that he does too, and I'd probably be doing a little bit of that. And for sure, I'd be playing at churches, and I'd be playing at bars on Saturday nights. In our, I'd be writing songs still and sending them to my wife, hoping she likes them. And that's what, hands down, I'd be still doing this, picking guitar and writing songs every day, probably.
Is this what Drew Baldridge does? When you write a song, Drew, do you say, honey, I want you to listen to this, tell me what you think? Or are there times where you don't want to hear this right now? Yeah,
there's definitely times. It has to be really special for me to want to play it for her, because she's heard lots of songs now by me. And so quick. And so I try to pick my moments of like the other day, I wrote a brand new song and nobody in the world's heard it yet. This is the first time I'm talking about it, but it's called A Cross at a Crossroad. And it talks about a guy that was drinking a little bit too much and pulled up on a four-way stop, and he saw a cross at the crossroad, and it stopped him in his tracks. And he thought, man, that could have been me. I need to change my ways. I need to change my life a little bit, and give it over to God a little bit, and have a little come to Jesus right in my truck. And I sent that song to my wife, and she called me immediately, and she's like, I'm in tears. Like, you got to share the world, and she's kind of my A&R, I guess, as you would say. that tell you if songs are good or not. And most of the time I know if it moves my wife in some way, then it's going to move somebody else. If it moves me too. But that's, like I said, that's a brand new song I literally just wrote yesterday that I'm very, very excited about, that maybe we'll share with some, people down the road.
Wow. Just yesterday. So how long did it take you to put that together?
So we started writing probably about 11 o'clock. And then it was one of the songs that just kind of fell out, and I believe that it was just like She's Somebody's Daughter. That song fell out in about an hour, just like this song did. And about that, in my career anyways, the songs that have fallen out the fastest, it's almost like they were meant to be written, and it was a miracle that day. And that's how I felt about this song. It just fell out really, really fast. And it was a lot of times you have to think about lines and think about this, but it was almost just like telling the story of what needs to be heard. And, we walked out of there at 3 o'clock, and we had a vocal done and the demo done. And so 5 hours I sang it and had it, and I went home that night, and the guy mixed it and sent it to me that night. And so, it was just a song that I think could be really, really special for some people out there. I sent it to my brother too. And I don't ever send anything to my brother, because he's, he don't really give a crap. He's like, every time I him, he's just, let's talk tractors.
He's working on the farm, right?
I sent a song to him, and he texts me back and says, wow, this is really good. That's when I know I have something special that needs to be heard.
So was that something that just came to your mind? I mean, just like sitting there at your table, or were you actually in your truck and you approached a four-way stop and you look over, and we all see that. We all know there's been an accident. Somebody tragically has lost their life. We see the cross. We see all that. I mean, was it because you saw that, or is it just something that came to mind sitting there?
Well, it was actually one of my best friends I grew up with in my hometown. And we had a friend that was in our class that graduated with us, and he was 22, and he passed away from drinking and driving. And so he's one of those crosses. And my friend called me, and he said, man, he said, I was just talking to a buddy, and he was talking about his son turning 16 and starting to drive. And he said, all I can think about is my son being a cross at a crossroad. And he said that, and we were both like, oh man. He even said it, he's not even a songwriter, and he's just like, boy, I think that might be a song right there. I was like, yeah, I mean, that sounds like a real life story. And so, I always just have kind of a little songwriter antenna on. It's the same way with She's Somebody's Daughter. After meeting my wife's dad, I was going home, and I thought to myself, like, man, I really can't mess this one up. Like, if I break her heart, I'll be breaking her mama's heart and her dad's heart. And so that's where that song came from, as a message literally to myself to never break her heart, to never forget that. And I literally got it, before the song even took off. I even literally, on the inside of my wedding ring, it says She's Somebody's Daughter on it. And it's just a song that's really real to me in my life, and try to always, remember those lines of all, to live that out,
Wow. Powerful.
So I was listening to the music earlier tonight, and you have two versions of that song out.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to do that?
So I actually, crazy enough, I have 4 versions of this song, Deb, which is,
well, I got to find the other 2 now.
yeah. So the first one came about, I wrote it, I put it out back in, it's crazy, I put it out in 2019, and nothing happened. And nobody really said anything. It was just kind of a song for me and my wife. We produced it real up tempo. It wasn't my favorite. And so me and my wife were getting married, and it was always her favorite song. And so I wanted to go in the studio and make a wedding version. So I went in the studio and I just sang it with a piano in me and a cello, just so my wife could dance to it with her dad at our wedding. That was the only reason why I made it. And so I made it. She danced to it at our wedding, and I remember just sitting side stage and crying my eyes out and being like, oh man, this is really awesome. I mean, I always loved writing songs, but I knew I'd write the song that my father-in-law and wife would dance to at our wedding. And we were on our honeymoon the next week. We were in Hawaii, and we were driving around the island. We went and got shaved ice, and she was waiting in line. And I said, hey, while you're waiting in line, I'm going to run to the car and I'm going to do a TikTok real quick. And not really thinking much of it, I sat in the car and I pointed at some words, and was like, hey, this is the song that my wife danced to. If you guys like this, I'll put it out on Friday. And I think I said something like, if this gets 3,000 likes, I'll put it out on Friday. Well, we drove around the island. We went to bed. We woke up the next morning, and it had almost 10 million views.
Holy.
Overnight?
And it had
Oh my gosh.
over 1 million likes on the video. And so
And that's in 24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours.
Not even.
And we put the song out on Friday, and it was number 7 in Norway, number 8 in Sweden, top 24 in America. And it was just all in a day's time from putting that song out. It just jumped on all these streaming sites. Everybody wanted it. And then it started a whole trend on TikTok called the daughter trend. And it was literally girls posting pictures of them acting out the verse, and the whole chorus was them and their dad. And I just sat there and watched it and cried. It was them of their dad growing up, little baby pictures of them with their dad. And then it shows them getting married, and it shows them doing life with their dad. And before I knew it, it had 300 million plays on TikTok. And
oh my gosh.
It just, man, and I did nothing. I just sat back and watched it happen. I would duet some videos and post at them, and there was no like throwing money on it or throwing advertisement buys or whatever. It was literally just the song, people relating to it and using it for their life. And I watched a lot of those videos. I still do. I go back and watch them, and because I think there's over like 700 some thousand videos made of the song, and I just sit there cry. I go through them at night sometimes, just lay down to bed and watch them.
So is the TikTok version considered a version? So you have the up tempo, you have the slower one, the piano one.
It's considered the wedding version.
The wedding version. Okay.
And then fast forward, and I had the idea. I was like, okay, I'm going to take this to radio. I really need to make a radio version. So I made a version called Reimagined. And that's the special version that we sent to you guys at radio that y'all are playing. And it's my favorite version. It's kind of the mixture of the wedding version with the up tempo, and it has more instrumentation and things. And then there's a fourth version that in December of last year, there's a rapper on TikTok named Lathan Warlick, and he's incredible. He's a Christian rapper. And I started getting tagged one day in all these videos, and it was him, and he rapped over my song of She's Somebody's Daughter. And I heard it, and I was like, well, I saw that it was a rapper, and I was like, well,